Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to Unusually Horrid Vlogs. I'm Horrid. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If it's your first time here, welcome. I hope you're ready for this discussion. If it's not your first time here, welcome back. Surprise! It's not a shopping video. I want to start this video out by asking you guys a question. When was the last time you bought like a full makeup palette? I mean, more than 12 colors. So not a little 3x3x3, you know? Something bigger than that. When was the last time you bought a big old makeup palette? Yeah, same. It's been a while for me too. I think the last makeup palette I bought was this Morphe X Avani Greg palette, which I do love the colors, but Morphe is in some serious hot water. I'm sure you've heard by now that Morphe, parent companied by Forma Brands, is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So if you don't know what Chapter 11 bankruptcy is, let me read you the little definition that Google's giving me. This chapter of the bankruptcy code generally provides for reorganization, usually involving a corporation or partnership, aka Morphe/Forma Brands. A Chapter 11 debtor usually proposes a plan of reorganization to keep its business alive and pay creditors over time. People in business or individuals can also seek relief in Chapter 11. Okay, so I don't know if my viewers out there consume as much internet gossip as I do. It's really a guilty pleasure for me because most of the people they're talking about in these tea spill videos, I don't even watch, but I know their every move because I just enjoy watching like tea videos while I get ready. So if you're like me and you like to watch all the internet drama, you probably have heard a lot about this situation already. So let me just break it down for you. Morphe's stores closed officially on December 26th, 2022. Most of the stores did not give their employees much notice, if any notice at all. Most were at least notified on the 22nd of December, while like I said, they did close their stores officially on the 26th. Now, from what I've heard on TikTok and these tea videos, not a lot of them seem to have gotten any like severance pay, if I'm saying that correctly. At the most, some of them got like a week or 2 weeks, which is just, I understand companies have financial issues, especially in this economy. I get it. But you have to do right by your employees who are the ones going out there and making you the money. And to not give these people who are running your stores any sort of notice is just really icky to me. And I really feel for these employees who have had to scramble to find new jobs right at the new year, like right after Christmas too, when like, hello, that's when everyone's the absolute most broke. It literally couldn't have happened at a worse time for these poor employees. I feel so bad for them. So that's the play-by-play of what the last week was like for the employees. Some of them got told on the 22nd the doors will be closing on the 26th. Some of them showed up on the 26th. Surprise, this is your last day. Let's like backtrack. How did we get here? How did we get from this 2019 hype era where Morphe was everywhere with collabs with the top beauty influencers like Jaclyn Hill? Hello, she was like the OG influencer collab with Morphe. Jeffree Star, James Charles, Charli D'Amelio, Dixie D'Amelio with Morphe 2, Avani Greg, obviously. I have their palette, and I'm sure there's others that I can't name off the top of my head, but that was their thing, you know? There was so much hype around this brand. I bought so many palettes from this brand, and I do love them. So it makes sense that they projected about a $420 million budget for their 2021 season. However, they only saw about $295 million back in revenue, and that's not good. So obviously, hello, there was this little thing in 2020 called the pandemic, and we all had to cover our faces. So what the heck is the point of doing a full beat if you have to cover half of it? That's what you were thinking. That's why you stopped wearing as much makeup as you used to. Am I right? Did I clock you? Or am I just projecting? Because that's exactly what I did. I totally went from spending about an hour on my makeup routine a day to still spending an hour on my makeup routine a day, but just because I'm really lazy and slow now. But if I wanted to, I could get my eye makeup done in 20 minutes and be out the door. Like I said, the pandemic, having to cover our faces, it really restructured the way consumers looked at the beauty industry. It wasn't a necessity anymore. A lot of people who, like me, were trying to use makeup to cover their skin imperfections were like, well, I can cover it with a mask anyway, so what's the point in putting on makeup? But I don't know if you, like me as well, started to realize that once you stopped wearing so much makeup, your skin healed. I don't have any foundation on right now. This is just my face. Obviously, the ring lights make it look better because duh, lighting always helps. I mean, the breakouts are minimal. I'm not saying I'm not broken out. Again, the lighting helps. The only face makeup I have on is some highlighter and blush. Everything else is just brows, eyes, and no lipstick, obviously. I mean, this is just natural. I wake up like this. But to get back on track, the way we looked at the beauty industry had to evolve because we had to evolve and follow guidelines that were in place. So it's not surprising that it took a hit on the beauty industry. Now, that being said, with a lot of us spending time at home, there's new beauty influencers out there who did get really into makeup during quarantine. So that's not to say that everybody in the world just like said, nope, makeup's stupid, we're not doing it anymore. That's not like what I'm saying. There's plenty of people who got into makeup for the first time during quarantine. That's not to say that the pandemic is the only reason for Morphe losing half of its revenue. That's a huge number. And I think a good percent of that is from people like me who are, first of all, we've already got so much makeup and now we don't have to wear makeup the way we used to, so of course we're not gonna keep buying it. So that percentage, yeah. But where'd the rest of that money go, right? Well, again, if you are like me and consume lots of internet tea, you know that like the top 3 beauty influencers that Morphe partnered with were getting canceled left and right. James Charles, hello, the James Charles palette was one of their absolute #1 sellers. I never bought it personally because it was always a little more expensive than the rest of the palettes and I didn't really care enough about James Charles to like shell out the extra bucks. But that's not to say that the majority of Morphe consumers probably did buy it, especially the collectors. And even when they made the little one, I know that one had huge sales too. And then Mr. James Charles started talking to minors and he got himself into quite a bit of trouble. Now, surprisingly to me, he wasn't dropped instantly when all of the allegations came out of him talking to minors. When they dropped Jeffree Star, as soon as any drama came out about him, now I'm not defending Jeffree Star. I don't think I've ever even purchased any Jeffree Star that wasn't a Morphe collab. I've had Jeffree Star purchased for me. I think I have one lippy that my sister sent me. Nope, that's a lie. I did buy the Shane Dawson palette. Yeah, I got sucked into that, but you guys saw me repaint that years ago. So that was the only Jeffree Star makeup I owned that wasn't a collab with Morphe. But as soon as all of his past stuff came up of his past racism and some not so great comments and him being so close with Shane Dawson, who had the rumors about, let's go down the list, bestiality, pedophilia, blackface, pretty much being racist to every other culture. Yeah. It's kind of hard to come back from that. So of course they cut ties with Jeffree Star instantly. So after all of that came to light about Jeffree's past and Shane's past, and we were sort of caught up in this social whirlwind of canceling people for their not so great pasts. And at the time, society, especially internet culture, was very caught up in like zero tolerance policy. You did this, we're done. So a lot of that lost revenue came from people who associated Morphe with names like James Charles and Jeffree Star, who are now having some seriously heinous things said about them in the media. So we've got this percentage of people who no longer are really wearing makeup anymore because it serves no purpose in post-pandemic life. And then you have this other big percentage of people, especially because Morphe's audience was in that like 14 to 28 age group, which is the most chronically online age group and the most susceptible to the cancellation culture. So that percentage was probably bigger, I would say, as far as this specific Morphe market. This percentage of people is probably a little bit bigger than the percentage of people like me who are like, yeah, whatever, cancel whoever you want. I'm gonna buy whatever I want because there's no ethical consumption under capitalism anyway, and ooh, shiny, pretty makeup. That might not be the most ethical way to look at things, but sometimes doing ethical backflips in your mind just to purchase an eyeshadow palette is a little much for the typical consumer. But for this percentage of people, it's not. And they totally cut ties with the brand because they are associated with James Charles, they're associated with Jeffree Star, and they want nothing to do with that. So you have these percentages added together. Swoop. Now you've got half of your projected revenue for 2021 just whoosh, fruit ninja'd in half. Ouch. Now what's surprising to me is that going along with all of the internet celebrity cancellations and all of that, we have a weird outlier in this situation with Miss Jaclyn Hill. So Jaclyn Hill had her controversy with her fuzzy lipsticks that had weird spheres of stuff in it. The moldy lipstick scandal, lipstick gate. I don't remember what year it was off the top of my head, but Jaclyn Hill lipstick gate. So people stopped, trusting the Jaclyn Hill name. And what's surprising to me about that is that Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, which is also a parent company by Forma Brands, was one of the only companies parented by Forma this year that was even close to hitting its budget, which I guess even though she's had quite a few controversies, especially when it comes to makeup production, that she was able to hit so close. But since the name of her brand is Jaclyn Cosmetics, obviously that's like narrowing down her audience to people that do support her, so that is going to push sales higher because the audience is smaller. So their projected budget for Jaclyn Cosmetics is going to be smaller than their projected budget for Morphe Cosmetics, obviously. So it is surprising that Jaclyn came out on top of this, but at the same time, not surprising with the way that, math works. Anyway, so these are all the events that led up to Morphe, parent companied by Forma, so Forma Brands filing for Chapter 11. Now, one of the issues for this brand right now, and why Chapter 11, this is my 11, even though it's a two ones next to each other. So why they're filing for Chapter 11 is because it is a reorganization of funds, and you can have outside investors come in and help you pay back people that need to pay back. However, with it being a bankruptcy, you don't actually necessarily have to pay back the money that you owe somebody. So Forma Brands right now owes a lot of money to the people that they cut their contracts with. So they owe millions of dollars to Jeffree Star. They owe millions of dollars to James Charles right now. And there is a huge chance that both Jeffree and James will never see a cent of the money that they're owed, because that's kind of how bankruptcy works. It kind of is like, okay, we're done. We're starting over. All of that just happened. It's in the books. It is what it is. We're starting over. We're building up. We have these new investors coming in, and with their money, we're going to rebuild. Where does that leave Morphe now? Morphe started out as an online brand, and now they are back to being mostly an online brand. They do still have some of their brick and mortar stores open overseas. However, they are done in the US. So some of the other brands that are included in this whole mess right now are, like I said, Morphe, Morphe 2, Jaclyn Cosmetics, Bad Habit, Lipstick Queen, and Playa Beauty, and R.E.M. Beauty by Ariana Grande. Now the thing about R.E.M. Beauty is they are now cutting ties with Forma brand, and they are in the process of rebranding to be sold at other stores, which, when you're Ariana Grande, you kind of have more power to do that than someone like James Charles. There's a difference. My mom knows who Ariana Grande is. My mom does not know who James Charles is. Or do you? Mom, do you know who James Charles is? You might. But you know what I mean? Like, most people, know pop stars versus internet stars. So Ariana Grande has a little bit more pull to get REM into a different store under a different brand. But as far as the rumors go, they are cutting ties with Forma brand and going elsewhere. So who is coming in to reorganize this money? It is, if my sources are correct, the only names we have for the lenders that are coming in to help right now are Jefferies Lenders and Cerberus Capital Management. So they are the ones that are marching in and trying to clean up Forma's mess. So that's all the bureaucracy bullshit. Now, what does this mean for you, the consumer? So aside from the social media scandals, aside from the pandemic affecting the way we consume makeup, Morphe is also in a lawsuit right now for false advertisement. They've been lying to us, and it matters. We get serious horrid now. This is the real reason I wanted to talk about this. This is something I've been wanting to talk about for months and months and months, but I didn't see anybody else talking about it, and now I'm like, oh damn, I should have said something long ago, because now Morphe's in the news, and I could have been like, I talked about it first. But I waited. That's fine, because now it's a more relevant topic anyway, so I might get more clicks on this. Who knows? But when I first heard about Morphe's lawsuit for this false advertisement about their ingredients, it got me a little heated. And I'll explain why it got me so heated in just a minute. So the false advertisement in question comes from these bad boys. I have reviewed and done many a look back when I was in my pretending to be an influencer phase with Morphe palettes. I think I even have a video that's like pink Morphe glam look, you know, like I was dropping it in the titles because it would get clicks. And I have so many of these Morphe palettes. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nobody needs 7 makeup palettes. Like, do you really think I'm gonna go through and hit pan on every single one of these colors in these palettes? No. It's kind of a waste. But I got swept up in that 2019 makeup hype. Within that makeup Morphe hype, there starts to be a lot of comparisons to other makeup brands. You start to notice that these quote-unquote artistry palettes have better, what was the term we used to love to use? Color payoff? There's a reason. Now, if you remember the little scandal with the James Charles Morphe palette staining your skin pink, and they tried so hard to sweep that under the rug and act like that was a normal thing. And I am here to tell you, makeup staining you isn't normal. And we should never, ever have let ourselves be told otherwise. Makeup should leave your face at the end of the day with makeup remover at the most, you know? You shouldn't have to sit there with like castor oil or something, you know? It should come off. It's makeup. It's supposed to be temporary. However, we let ourselves, as a beauty community, get swept up in the artistry palette. Notice how I'm saying artistry palette and not eyeshadow palette, because they cannot legally call these. I don't know if you can see. Maybe I'll try the black ones. Nowhere on any of these palettes does it say eyeshadow. Artistry palette, artistry palette, artistry palette. No eyeshadow. They're not eyeshadows. They are not meant to go on or near your eyes. So then what the hell is the point of them if they are makeup and you can't even wear them as makeup? Sorry, I'm getting so heated. But like I said, I've been waiting for y'all to bring this up for a minute so I could talk about it. It matters that we as a beauty community have been buying into this lie and putting things on our eyes that are harmful. The dyes and pigments that they use in these artistry palettes are not meant to go near your eyes. They don't put any ingredients on the actual palette itself. It's probably on the box that you're gonna throw away immediately. So it's not like you can sit here and cross-reference your ingredient list with a makeup palette that is actually eyeshadow. And why that makes a difference to me and why it gets me heated is because that took away revenue from small businesses that were trying to get big in this 2019 hype, that were being honest and using pigments that are safe, but because they weren't using pigments that are artistry level, we didn't believe in the color payoff. We didn't believe in the power, in the fantabulousness of these other makeup brands that are now deceased, now gone, when they were the ones being honest about their ingredients and safe with their ingredients and just trying to make a way in this industry. But because we got so swept up in this kind of hype and got sold this lie of thinking it's okay to use pressed pigments on our eyes It took away so much revenue and got bad reviews for so many smaller businesses or just any other eyeshadow. I feel like ever since the Jeffree Star, Morphe, hype beast era of makeup, if your makeup doesn't stain, it's not good enough. And that is something that is just so not true. We need to sloop it out of our head. Okay, so here I have two of the same palette. Both were gifted to me. I'm not the kind of person who cares if I get two of the same gift. I am a walking tornado. There is a chance it will get ruined. I will be happy that I have two of them. So my sister bought me this one. This is the original one that I got. This is the Velvet palette by Ciate? No one ever pronounces that right. Anyway, this is a very beautiful palette. Like, look at it. Stunning. Stunning. She's beautiful. Part of me wanted to keep this palette nice. That's one reason I never used it. The other part of me is because I swatched this one. You can kind of tell. I swatched this one and it immediately wiped off my hand. And I was like, ugh, color payout sucks. Putting that away, just saving it as a collector's item because it's pretty. Flash forward to this Christmas/birthday. My friend's mom gifted me this one. And part of me was like, ooh. I'm really excited to have two of these now because I loved it so much I didn't want to touch it because it was too pretty. So now I have one that I can use. Now, as we can see, this one is used and loved, and I've actually been wearing this to work pretty much every day. And I work 12-hour shifts, and this stuff lasts for 12 hours because it's eyeshadow and it's formulated to work. And look at that right there. We finally have the words eyeshadow on a palette of eyeshadows. What a concept. It's just funny that when I first got this palette, I tried one swatch. Oh, it wiped right off my hand. I'm not going to use it. To being something that I use every day because the color payoff is good. It is a good palette. I'm so sick of comparing everything I own to Morphe when it is a lie. That's like my heated rant about why I think this entire situation is important to the consumer, because I don't think it's right to sell an audience something that they knowingly cannot sell as eyeshadow, and yet in every campaign the influencer selling it has it on their eyes. The model in the pictures has it on their eyes. The person doing the makeup tutorial that's sponsored by the company is putting it on their eyes. Do y'all remember when I got that sty? It makes me think, because I was pretty much exclusively using Morphe eyeshadows at the time because I had 9 million palettes, so I had plenty of options, and I didn't like buying palettes from other brands because they just didn't hold up. Well, do I have a surprise for you? Maybe some of you have noticed, or maybe some of you can't notice, because there's not that big of a difference. I'm not wearing the same brand on both sides of my face. Again, some of you may have noticed, some of you may have not, but this side of my face is not Morphe. Not Morphe. This side of my face is Morphe. Notice how they're both equally saturated, blendable. One of these palettes was what I would have considered cheap makeup that I would have usually passed up on, but I thought the colors were cute enough in this palette, so I bought it. So today we have on this side, we have, and I know it's busted and crusted, okay, don't judge my palettes, they get used. This is Cara Beauty, Cara Duo, and this is the Havana Club eyeshadow palette. And it has a mirror on it, which Morphe like does not really do. But look at these lovely colors. And at the time when I bought this palette, I really didn't have a lot of confidence in it because I was so used to these bad boys that I was like, oh, this is gonna be like kids play makeup. It's not even gonna show up. I bet it's like super chalky and like acting like it was some Wish makeup when I know nothing about Cara Beauty. I don't know anything about this brand. I found it at Marshall's. I buy most of my Morphe palettes at Marshall's. What's the difference? There's not a difference. They're both pressed pigment palettes. The only difference is one of them is upfront about it and one of them just lies. One of them's upfront about it. On the back we have shadow ingredients. Oh, and that's another thing too. Ingredients on the palette. Cara Beauty, ingredients on the palette. This came in a box, just like all my Morphe palettes. Ingredients for each shadow. It's so hard to tell because it's white, but they have the ingredients for the shadows and the pressed pigments. This one doesn't even tell you that there's a difference between shadows and pressed pigments, and there's no ingredients to be found. Now the Ciate London, No ingredients on the actual palette. I'm sure they were on the box. I never saw a box for either of them. I just got the palette. Makeup companies, put your damn ingredients on the actual component. Nobody keeps the box. Stop gatekeeping what's in them. People have allergies. People have sensitivities. People need to know what they're putting on their skin. Okay? Even though I wear that one every day, I'm calling you out, Sayate. Put your damn ingredients on the freaking box. Like the actual component box, not just the cardboard box. It's obvious, like I said, that Morphe's not the only brand using pressed pigments. So why are they not telling us? Why are they not letting us know, hey, there's a chance that there's gonna be some staining. There's a chance you shouldn't use this on your eye. Cara Beauty, you are not safe. From my criticism of using pressed pigments in a shadow looking palette, there's also no differentiation in this palette of what is a shadow and what is a pressed pigment until you look on the back, because they do have the shade names of which is which. But in the palette, there's no way of telling the difference. So I'm just to open this and, okay, yeah, whatever, you know, put it on my eye. If it stains, it stains. But at least there's a chance I get to know. Where Morphe, you don't get to know. It's a guessing game of whether or not it's gonna stain. That being said, that was a lot to say. Now, I am by no means telling you to go run to your makeup counter and throw away every single Morphe product you have. You've already used it. If you've had a reaction, you know you've had a reaction. You probably already stopped using it. And if you haven't, just make sure it's not expired. If it is, throw it away. Also, if you don't know how to check if makeup is expired or when makeup expires, this little symbol right here, the one that looks like a cap opening with the numbers on it, this one right here, once you open the product, whatever number is in that little jar cap looking thing, that's how many months you have it before it is expired. Just in case you didn't know, some people don't know that makeup even expires. So now you know. Even though I did get that sty, and that was pretty bad, and there's no way of me knowing for sure if it's exactly caused by a Morphe product, but all I can say is that at the time I was exclusively using Morphe pigments on my eyes. That's all I'm saying. I'm not throwing any claims, I'm just saying there is a correlation. And in the past year, I've been using less and less Morphe products, and my eye has been healthy and lovely. Again, just correlation. I'm not saying any causation, I'm just saying correlation. Anywho, that's pretty much all I have to say. That was a mouthful. Thank you so much for listening to me rant. Thank you for watching my video essay on why Morphe screwing us over was bad for other people's businesses and our skin. I'm Horrid, thanks for listening. So, at the end of the day, the Morphe stores, the Morphe brick and mortars, are closed. You can still find Morphe in Marshalls, in Ulta, and online. It's not going away. The money is being redistributed, being fueled in from other companies now, and lending management companies. And Morphe can turn it around. They can start being more honest about what's in their products, or they're just gonna evaporate into nothingness. Or become some cheap brand that no one pays attention to, which is kind of what is happening anyway, and why their margins have fallen so far from grace. So, it was good sitting down and talking to you guys for a minute. You know, haven't really just sat down and chatted for a while. Usually we're shopping or doing something ridiculous, which I'm sure we'll continue to do. I will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. You matter. You're important. I love you. What else can I say? Don't trust every corporation, no matter what social influencer is promoting them, because they are getting a paycheck and they can afford doctors if they get a skin infection. So, with all that being said, have a good day, have a good night, have a good life, go wash your face, Unusually Horrid out. Okay, bye!